welcome to TV Africa News and thank you for always joining us. This is Africa Today. My name is Najuma Luima, but first are the headlines. United Arab Emirates bars entry for travelers from Zambia, DR Congo, Uganda starting June 11th. ECOWAS delegation meets Mali's Prime Minister. And in sports, Joshua Cheptegei targets 12 minutes 40 seconds at Golden Gala tonight in Florence, Italy. A warm welcome once again. Now the news in detail. The resident city commissioner of Nakawa Division, Herbert Anderson Burora, has urged Ugandans to embrace the three major principles of public health in order to stop the spread of COVID-19 in the country. Our reporter Nalugo has more.
Addressing journalists at the Uganda Journalist Association offices in Kawempe, Herbert Anderson Burora, the Nakawa Division resident city commissioner, said it's high time Ugandans took COVID-19 very serious by embracing prevention, protection and promotion, which are the three major principles of public health.
In this case of COVID, there are three principles of public health that we must embrace. We must embrace prevention, we must embrace protection, but most importantly also we must embrace promotion, to promote exactly what we know about COVID, so that those who don't know can get to know, to prevent ourselves from getting this virus, but also protecting our loved ones from getting it.
Burora also said that government does not have enough facilities to cater for COVID patients, therefore advised Ugandans to stay at home if they do not have serious business outside in order to save health workers who are at a risk of catching the virus.
We cannot compete for beds in a hospital, but you can compete for your bed at home. If it is possible, stay at home. If it is possible, stay at home, in your bed, other than fighting for beds in Mulago, whereby it would have been necessary for you to stay where you are. So, I am appealing to all Ugandans to save our doctors who are also frightened that once we don't have so many of them, we have very few, and some of them have started dying. It means sooner or later others will run away to protect themselves.
President Yoweri Museveni, in a televised address on Sunday, said the COVID-19 situation in the country is worsening by the day compared to the first wave last year, when cases would increase within months, not days or weeks as it is now. Ministry of Health figures show that as of June 6th, cumulative COVID-19 cases stood at 52,929, reported confirmed deaths at 374 and recoveries at 43,487. Nalugo Muyingo, Africa Today.
Moving on, former Prime Minister Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda has thanked President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for appointing him special envoy for special duties in the office of the president, saying he remains committed to the ruling national resistance movement and in the transformation of the country. We have more.
The former Prime Minister, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, who took over from Amama Mbabazi, said that there is still work to do to realize a transformed Uganda and a secure and better Africa, which requires all of us to join hands to achieve this goal under the able leadership of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. He also congratulated the newly appointed Vice President, Prime Minister, and all ministers and saluted the outgoing comrades for the great service rendered to Uganda. On Tuesday, President Museveni appointed Kakumiro woman MP Robina Nabanja as the new Prime Minister of Uganda and Katawi woman MP Jessica Alupo, who was the former education minister, as the vice president, replacing Edward Kiwanuka Sekandi. Other new faces in Museveni's cabinet, which is largely dominated by women, include former Speaker of Parliament Rebecca Kadaga, who has been appointed as the first Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for East African Community Affairs, while the Secretary General of the ruling National Resistance Movement, Justice Kasule Lumumba, is the new minister in charge of general duties in the office of the Prime Minister. Mariam Doka Babalanda, who is the minister in charge of presidency, Hajat Misi Kabanda, who is the minister in charge of Kampala affairs, among others. The president has also selected lawyer Chiriowa Kiwanuka as the new Attorney General, replacing William Byaruhanga. Reporting for TV Africa News, Nahabwe Kajura.
Apart from that, the COVID-19 cases and deaths have in the past few weeks been on the rise following the outbreak of a new wave with stronger variants from UK, India, South Africa and Nigeria confirmed in the country. A total of 842 new COVID-19 cases have been confirmed from tests done on June 7th, bringing the cumulative confirmed cases to 55,511. We have more.
According to the announcement made by the Minister of Health on Wednesday, 9th June, the active COVID-19 cases in health facilities, both public and private, are 784, while 402 people have so far died of the virus. According to the ministry data, the total number of people vaccinated has since stagnated at 784,676 since Sunday, 6th June, although many Ugandans are now flocking vaccination centers countrywide to get vaccinated. The new wave forced President Yoweri Museveni to issue new measures on Sunday, and he urged Ugandans to follow them in the fight against the surging numbers of COVID-19 infections, or else he enforces a total lockdown. The measures include closure of schools and churches, banning inter-district travels, and strict adherence to the standard operating procedures like hand washing, wearing face masks, and social distancing. The ultimate solution to COVID-19, according to Museveni, is vaccination, and government is targeting vaccinating 4.8 million Ugandans before relaxing the measures with frontline workers who include teachers, security personnel and health workers, and those above 50 years and persons with comorbidities will be given priority. Unlike the previous COVID-19 variant from China, the new variants also attack children.
The National Emergency Crisis and Disaster Management Authority and the General Civil Aviation Authority has announced that the United Arab Emirates will suspend entry for travelers from Zambia, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Uganda starting 11th June 2021 as part of efforts to contain the spread of coronavirus. Let's take a look.
According to the state news agency WAM statement on Wednesday, the measures put in place applies to the transit passengers, in addition to passengers who have traveled through those countries in the last 14 days prior to their arrival in the United Arab Emirates. The statement stated that Emirates citizens, diplomatic passport holders, and official delegations are exempt from the measures and transit flights from the United Arab Emirates to the affected countries. In addition to cargo flights, will continue to operate. Those excluded from the travel ban must adhere to the precautionary measures, including the ongoing 10-day quarantine, take a PCR examination at the airport, and on days 4 and 8 of entering the country. On Sunday, President Museveni introduced a new lockdown measures to tackle the second wave of COVID-19. Last week, the Democratic Republic of Congo said was facing a third wave of coronavirus infections, with its epicenter in the capital, Kinshasa, one of Africa's most populous cities. Batuli Kawala, reporting for TV Africa.
Let's take a very quick short break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, The Right to Know. The ECOWAS delegation, led by the mediator Goodluck Jonathan, met with Mali's Prime Minister Chagul Maiga and the President of ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Blocassi, on Wednesday in the second of a two-day visit by the members of the West African Bloc to Bamako.
While talking to the media on Wednesday, the President of the ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Blocassi, said that Choguel Maiga had repeated the commitments made by the President of the Transitional Government, Colonel Assimi Goïta. Maiga said that the new government would within 6 weeks present the actions to be taken, adding that Mali's partners will hold their hand as they have always done when their country has gone through a storm. Colonel Goïta, who first grabbed power in August 2020 by overthrowing Mali's democratically elected President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, ousted the civilian leaders 2 weeks ago after a cabinet reshuffle was announced that sidelined two junta supporters without consulting him. The African Union have suspended the country's membership, while France has temporarily suspended its joint military operations with the Malian military to exert pressure on Goïta to step aside after he carried out his second coup d'etat in 9 months. Asked whether the ECOWAS will lift or keep the suspension of Mali from the group, Cassi said that the decision has to be taken by the heads of bloc's member states.
At least 120 students have turned up to give blood at the National Blood Transfusion Center in the capital, Ouagadougou, after a call made by a student organization in Burkina Faso arranged a blood donation drive in a show of solidarity with the victims of last week's Islamist attack in Yaga province. Let's take a look.
According to the president of Yaga-based student group Amadou Diko, they took the initiative because they were born in the province and couldn't let such an atrocity happen without taking action. At least 132 people died and many others were wounded after jihadists struck Solan village on Friday night, shooting people and burning down homes and the market. Laurent Sagi, head of the International Committee of the Red Cross in Burkina Faso, described the plight of people who were injured in the attack as needing a lot of medication. For 5 years, Burkina Faso's ill-equipped and undertrained army has been struggling to stem a jihadi insurgency linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group, often arriving late or not at all to attacks. The fighting has created the world's fastest growing displacement crisis, with more than 1.2 million people internally displaced in the country.
Away from that, South Africa's state-owned power utility company, Eskom, on Wednesday announced major power cuts and will begin rationing electricity to consumers to cope with the increasing demand due to the cold weather as the southern winter begins. Let's take a look.
In a statement released on Wednesday, Eskom said the load shedding exercise will be implemented from 14 to 22 local time. It is not clear how long the rationing will last, but the statement cited technical problems and other planned cuts are expected in the days ahead. These regular power cuts are also as a result of poor performance by Eskom's aging and poorly maintained power plants. As Africa's leading industrialized country and a signatory to the Paris Climate Agreement, the Southern African nation generates over 80% of electricity from coal. At a virtual meeting of the African Heads of State Committee on Climate Change on Tuesday in a preparation for Africa's participation in COP26, President Cyril Ramaphosa stressed that it was not realistic to expect them to hold the same time frames as developed countries for transitioning their economics and divesting from fossil fuels.
Moving on, Lai Mohammed, Nigeria's Minister for Information and Culture, has laid out the conditions that the government is imposing for Twitter to be reinstated in the country. Nigeria's government had earlier said that the Twitter suspension was needed because the platform had been used for activities that could destabilize the country. We have more.
Friday's decision to suspend the platform days after Twitter deleted a remark from President Muhammadu Buhari has already provoked an international outcry over freedom of expression and calls for protests online and on the street. Nigeria's media and activists fear their country is slipping into repression after the government suspended Twitter in Africa's most populous nation, where a hyper-connected group embraced the platform as a means of protest. More than 120 million Nigerians have access to the internet, and nearly 40 million of them have a Twitter account, representing 20% of the population, according to Lagos-based researcher. According to Manon Forescott, co-founder of the Afrique Connectees consultancy, Nigeria's numbers are explained in part by its large and youthful population, but also influence of its diaspora and the online fame of its film and Afropop stars. With its suspension, Nigeria joins countries like China, Turkey, and Myanmar that have all moved to restrict access at some time to Twitter and other Western social media.
Let's once again take a very quick short break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, the right to know. In our business news today, fuel prices have almost doubled in Sudan following the lifting of its fuel subsidies as part of economic reforms supported by the International Monetary Fund. The move is likely to ignite unpopular discontent for a country facing deep economic crisis.
According to the new measure approved by the Finance Ministry, the price of a litre of gasoline has jumped from 150 to 290 Sudanese pounds, while the price of a litre of diesel is up by almost 128% from 125 to 285 Sudanese pounds. The International Monetary Fund, which adopted a program for Sudan last year, has demanded that the Sudanese government implement several austerity measures, which include the removal of state subsidies. Sudan has been in a deep economic crisis since the ouster of former President Omar al-Bashir in 2019, after 30 years of rule marked by armed conflict, an ailing economy, and heavy international sanctions. The transitional government has for 2 years been committed to restoring the country's economy, which has been dealing with constant shortage of foreign currency and inflation that exceeded 360% in April. Shortages of fuel, gas, food, and medicine are common and a clear sign of the dire economic situation.
In our health news today, Prime Minister Hichem Mechichi of Tunisia has received only 1.6 million COVID-19 doses of the 2.5 million hoped for by March via the WHO-led COVAX initiative put in place to facilitate coronavirus vaccine access to countries at a disadvantage.
While addressing a meeting in Geneva Wednesday, the Tunisian Prime Minister appealed to the health body to speed up vaccine provisions in order to accelerate the vaccination rollout in the country, which is crucial towards reviving its economy. Dr. Tedros Adhanom, the World Health Organization Director General, appeared cooperative with Tunisia's proposal of partnering with World Health Organization to start local production of COVID-19 vaccines and promised to send a specialized team to help. Dr. Tedros called on G7 countries to donate 100 million doses to countries of less financial means in the next 2 months in order to solve a problem of vaccine access at the global level. The Tunisian government also announced an agreement on Wednesday with the World Health Organization where it should receive 100,000 new doses by the end of July, another 500,000 in the coming months.
In our sports news today, Joshua Cheptegei will take the track of Stadio Luge Ridolfion today, Thursday, June 10th, at the third meeting of the 2021 Wanda Diamond League in Florence, Italy. The 5,000-meter world record holder, who set the record at the Monaco meet last year, will be racing for the first time since his 3,000-meter record attempt in Ostrava 3 weeks ago. Kachanchu reports.
Cheptegei will be competing with Ingebrigtsen brothers Jacob and Henrik, as well as Ethiopia's Hagos Gebrewiti and Mukhtar Idris, targets running 12:40 or better. The Ugandan runner said that he is pretty much sure that his body is much better than it was in Ostrava and hopes that he can target a time of 12:40 or faster than that. It should be noted that 5,000-meter meeting record is 12:46, which means Cheptegei aims at setting a new meeting record over the distance. Cheptegei believes that with a good organization, the pacers, and a good field with Ethiopian and Canadian guys, the meeting will be in danger today evening. The Golden Gala starts 7:45 p.m. East African time, and the 5,000-meter race time is 10:23 p.m. East African time.
Now, before we end our news bulletin today, let's take a recap of our top stories. United Arab Emirates bus entry for travelers from Zambia, DR Congo, Uganda starting June 11th. ECOWAS delegation meets Mali's Prime Minister. And in sports, Joshua Cheptegei targets 12 minutes 40 seconds at Golden Gala tonight in Florence, Italy. That was the news. Thank you for always keeping it TV Africa. Please do stay tuned. More programming coming your way. Also, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like our YouTube page.
This is Africa, and that was the news.